All right, middle schoolers, eighth graders. Today we are going to be going over the geography of the Middle East. So we're going to have a few questions here, but they should be pretty easy for you to answer. So let's get started. First and foremost, geography of the Middle East. Where is the Middle East? Using Google Earth, you could try to go find it. Not a bad idea. But here we're going to show you on a map. If you take a look, the Middle East is located at the confluence of three continents, right? So you have Europe here, and Europe connects into the Middle East. You have Africa here, and Africa connects to the Middle East. And then Asia, of course, over here also connects to the Middle East. In fact, the Middle East is part of Asia. If we're looking for a way to delineate here, technically the Middle East is part of Asia. But you can see here that the Middle East is right in the middle of the eastern continents, right? If Americas are the western continent, then the Middle East is the center of the eastern continent. So it's Europe, Asia, and Africa. And where they meet, that gives us the Middle East. And here you can see a satellite image from the Middle East from space. And if you take a look at it very quickly, I think you can pretty easily tell that the vast majority of the Middle East is desert, right? And that makes sense, right? It's very close to the Sahara Desert. Sahara Desert, of course, over here, you can see the Nile River right there. We studied last time, the Suez Canal right in there. And that, of course, connects that desert, that lack of rain swings out in this direction too. But we're going to talk about the physical features today, and just a quick rundown of what we've got. The Tigris and Euphrates River Valley, right in there. You've got the Persian Gulf, the Strait of Hormuz, the Arabian Sea, the Red Sea, and then of course the Suez Canal, and that's what we're going to talk about. And if you can see it, right, most of this stuff is all around the outside of the Persian Gulf right here, or not the Persian Gulf. That's the Arabian Peninsula. My apologies. So our first feature is the Tigris River, and that's this one right here, the Tigris River. And here's a couple of pictures. You can see the Tigris River. And so you can see, right, when you have a river, when you have water, that means you can grow things, right? And so if you'll notice, the Tigris River Valley looks pretty lush. There's a lot of greenery going around out here. And then you've got the Euphrates River right here, running right alongside of it. And so the Tigris and the Euphrates are often talked about together. They make up something called the Fertile Crescent, and we're going to talk a lot about that in 11th grade. But for right now, Tigris and the Euphrates River are important because in the middle of the desert, you have greenery, you have things growing. And if you have things growing there, that means you can have people, right? And next up, the Persian Gulf. All right, so the Persian Gulf is this area right here, and it's called the Persian Gulf because Iran is a country over here, and ancient Persia was where this empire was. And so this was all part of the Persian Empire, and that's why this is called the Persian Gulf. And then over here you have the Strait of Hormuz, and you'll hear about that a lot in the news lately. This is, this is an important piece to Iran. And them getting any sort of trade in and out here. And so whoever controls the Strait of Hormuz controls trade with Iran. Of course, Iran has sanctions against them by the United States right now, so that's part of why this is important. And here's a picture from space. You can see here the Persian Gulf, and then that Strait of Hormuz, right? And so you can tell, right, if you own the land around the Strait of Hormuz, it's pretty easy to control who comes in and who goes out with their ships. And that's a lot of why this is a really important geographical feature. Next up, we have down here the Arabian Sea, right where the number 5 is. The Arabian Sea is, right off there, off the Arabian Peninsula. So this is the Arabian Peninsula, and then that's the Arabian Sea. And here you can see some pictures of the Arabian Sea and its coastline. And here you can see a lot of that desert that we were talking about there. Last but not least, we're going to look at the Red Sea as far as large bodies of water. And you can see here a picture of the Red Sea from space. It's a pretty shallow sea, but it does separate the continent of Africa from the Arabian Peninsula right here. And you can see again, right? It's very dry here. We're looking at a lot of desert, and then also a lot of desert over here too. And the last thing we're going to look at is the Suez Canal. And the Suez Canal connects this little branch of the Red Sea up to the Mediterranean Sea. And that's it right there. And it's, of course, going to be very, very important for trade. So these two areas did not used to connect, but once the canal was put in, now the Red Sea can connect to the Mediterranean Sea. So if someone wanted to ship things from Greece over to Iran, they would have used to had to go all the way around Africa. And now they can just go straight through that canal. And here you can see some pictures of ships going through that canal. And here you can see a picture of the canal from up above. And you'll notice, right, a lot of different things you can see from up here. You can sort of see those sandbars underneath. But if you take a look right here, you can notice deep water all the way through, nice straight lines. This is obviously man-made. And that's going to connect, of course, the Mediterranean Sea to the Red Sea. And I think that is how far we want to go today. If you have any questions, of course, feel free to email me or send me meet me up in my office hours. Those are, of course, 10 o'clock and 2 o'clock, Monday through Friday. So good talking to you, eighth graders, and enjoy the rest of your week.